Good afternoon, YouTube. Today I have found a very disturbing piece of news article released by the Globe and Mail, so all credit to them for the article. KINSELLA firm hired to seek and destroy Bernier's People Party. So let's just read the article here for a moment. Warren Kinsella and his Daisy Group consulting firm worked on a secret campaign to seek and destroy the fledgling People's Party of Canada and keep Maxime Bernier out of the national leaders' debates, the Globe and Mail has learned. Internal Daisy Group records obtained by the Globe and Mail show a team of Daisy Group employees worked on a plan called Project Cactus that focused on portraying the People's Party of Canada as supporters as racist. The records make several references to a client for the project, including sending a bill for payment, but the client's identity is not revealed in the documents. A source with direct knowledge of the project said the client listed in the documents is the Conservative Party of Canada. The Globe is keeping the source's name confidential because they were not authorized to discuss the matter. Neither the Conservative Party nor Mr. Kinsella would confirm or deny that they are or have been working together. We do not comment on what vendors or suppliers we may or may not do business with, Conservative spokesman Simon Jeffries said. The activity appears to have taken place prior to June 30th, when new rules took effect requiring third parties to disclose their political activities. It is legal for parties to hire outside firms to assist with the political campaigns, but that's not exactly what happened. For those of you who don't know, the Warren Kinsella is a professional in, you can say, a advisor, but it's much more than that. See, he was a former Liberal advisor, but I believe the specialty of the Daisy Group is to create the smear campaigns designed to weaken an opponent. So listen to this. When asked about Project Cactus, Mr. Kinsella said his firm does work on anti-racism files. He neither confirmed nor denied that his company worked with the Conservatives to discredit the party. I'm going to show you a clip very quickly here about Mr. Scheer denying it. See, what I find very, very curious is the robotic way he kept answering the question and repeating himself. There was no imagination there. Like, for starters, if he didn't have anything to do with it, why not deny it immediately? Deny the allegation. But his response seems to be rehearsed and practiced, so that if he opens his mouth, it's a shut the door response. So this is it. It's nothing more to do with. But he didn't deny it. So you watch this for a moment.
We don't make comments on vendors that we may or may not have engaged with.
So to that end, did your party hire Mr. Kinsella to attack the Liberals?
As I said, we don't make comments on vendors that our party may or may not have
Did you, yes or no, did you hire Mr. Kinsella?
As a rule, we never make comments on vendors that we may or may not have engaged with.
Why does the great privacy or secrecy about this? Why can't you be transparent with Canadians about this contract?
As a general rule, when it comes to
what's the
party
general rule?
matters,
What is the general rule?
when it relates to party matters, we don't comment on contracts we may or may not have with vendors.
Why?
It's we don't offer comments. We
That's
don't make
not
comments
acceptable, Mr. Scheer.
on contracts that may or may not exist.
You should be transparent about
Well,
this. Why can't you answer this question?
When it comes to internal party matters, when it comes to contracts that may or may not exist, we don't offer comment.
Mr. Scheer, is it ethical for a party in the middle of an election campaign to hire a skullduggery firm to potentially dig up dirt on an opponent? And if the Liberal Party did this, would you be demanding transparency from them?
Well, we're not going to make comments on contracts that may or may not exist.
I'm not asking about a contract. I'm asking about the principle of digging up dirt on your opponent and hiring a firm to do it secretly.
And I said we're not going to make comments on contracts that may or may not exist or with vendors that we may or may not have. as a rule, we don't make comments on contracts that may or may not exist or vendors that we may or may not have.
You see how he's very repetitive? I believe he's lying. And the response that he made there is something that was a discussion already previously, that said, okay, Mr. Scheer, if they ask you this question, respond with that comment and say not a cent more. So I think he's lying. Why not deny it? If you're not guilty and you didn't work with the contracts, you can comment on it. This is extremely disturbing by a move by Andrew Scheer, a form of cheating, if you will. KINSELLA, as you heard there, what they did is perform a smear campaign. Now, we see that, just listen to this, a Daisy Group document describing the project says Daisy's War Room campaign goals will be to place Bernier and the PPC on the defensive and to work to attempt to ensure that Bernier and the PPC are not included in the national leaders' debates. If unsuccessful in blocking his participation, Daisy will work to ensure that Bernier and his party are weakened to the point of being ineffective. If you recall the leaders' debate, by chance, Maxime Bernier was asked to answer the first two questions, and there was essentially a round where everybody got to challenge him. So what happened is that they spent that round delegitimizing his claims, saying, he essentially between the lines that he was racist and his point was an extremist view, and delegitimized the validity of his points. And after that, Maxime, he as a gentleman, he actually backed off a lot, and he was less effective. And after that, Singh took over the center of the arguments most of the time. So, this is absolutely the fact that if it can be proven again that KINSELLA was working with the Conservative Party of Canada to destroy Maxime Bernier's party, or at least the legitimacy of this party and the legitimacy of the people voting for his party, this is going to be a huge scandal. Here is Maxime Bernier's response to the scandal.
I was deeply shocked to learn last night that the Conservative Party hired the consulting firm of Ryan KINSELLA to wage a secret campaign to discredit the People's Party by portraying it as a racist and intolerant party. A campaign that has been going on for months and may continue to this day. Ryan KINSELLA is a professional mudslinger and a former liberal strategist. This secret campaign is an attack on the integrity of our democratic process. We had suspected for a long time that many of the supposed scandals of the last months has been fabricated by opponents. This revelation proves that the constant accusations of racism, the suspicious resignations by executive of our party, the fake emails, and many other stories have probably been arranged by Reverend KINSELLA for his clients, the Conservative Party of Canada. I can assure you, we will take every means to our disposal to get to the bottom of this story. The executive director of our party, Joanne Meunier, has already filed a complaint with the Commissioner of Canada Elections against the actions of the Conservative Party, Mr. KINSELLA, and his firm, Daisy Group. I want to know who is responsible for these false scandals. I also want to know who orchestrated funding a rhinoceros party candidate to run in both with the same name as mine to create confusion. Is this part of Ryan KINSELLA campaign? Andrew Scheer today refused to confirm or deny this news, saying he could not disclose the Conservative Party contracts with outside firms. Like Justin Trudeau, during the SNC-Lavalin scandal, Mr. Scheer invents reason for refusing to answer questions and tell the truth. This story shows how corrupt our all parties are. This is the kind of dirty politics that fuels Canadians' cynicism about politics. Andrew Scheer does not deserve the confidence of Canadians this Monday, not more than Justin Trudeau. He defends no clear conservative principle. In fact, we saw today that he has no principle at all. Like Justin Trudeau, Andrew Scheer is ready to say and do anything to gain power. He is ready to steal the election with lies and manipulations. I left the Conservative Party of Canada after realizing that it had been morally and intellectually corrupt. Who can now doubt it? I also want to ask my Conservative opponent in both, Mr. Richard Lehoux, what he knew about this professional smear campaign. Was he aware of it? If so, since when? Does he approve of this despicable and shameful way of playing politics? The Beaucerons were indirectly smeared too by these fabricated attacks against their MP. Is this the way that Mr. Lehoux wants to represent La Beauce? There are 2 days before the vote, and he has to tell the Beaucerons, he has to tell us clearly where he stands. Thank you, merci, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
So there you hear it. I was unaware that there was a someone running. Maxime called him a rhinoceros candidate, I believe. Somebody who had a similar name running, and also a controversial figure designed to associate that name, the name Bernier, with radicalism or with racism or any of those things. So a very, very surgical strike, if you will, a campaign to undermine the legitimacy of his party. And you know, I wouldn't blame Scheer, except that he didn't deny it. You see? And the response is extremely rehearsed. The fact that he responded in that way and kept repeating and repeating himself looks as guilty as when Trudeau denied trying to use blackface, or denied when the Jody Wilson-Raybould dismissal and interference and so on. I mean, it's a mechanical denial, a robotic denial. You know, a machine can respond in this way with only one program response. To me, I hope the ethics commissioner finds the information and finds them guilty, because it would seem that that KINSELLA really, in a way, succeeded. You know, it's, as I told you in the previous video, Maxime Bernier tries to call it the truth as he sees it, and he's a very fair individual. I don't see lying in him. So it's absolutely dishonorable, and it is filthy political tactics that were used. If the Conservative Party is found guilty, oh boy, that's going to be a major scandal. But that aside, the election is tomorrow. I wanted to release this clip last night, but you know, the culmination of events, it takes time for things like this to process with the public, and I hope, my fellow Canadians, that you still believe in Maxime Bernier wherever you are, and I hope that that you can see through a lot of the machinations and the lies that the press are putting forward. Mostly, I feel that Max didn't get the publicity that he deserved, and I mean the positive publicity. Here on YouTube, whenever he speaks to, say, Dave Rubin or any of the major channels that he comes on and he exposes his view, you can see that this is a genuine individual who really feels there's something seriously wrong with the country and whose principles will make our country great. It will bring the vision that Maxime Bernier has will bring our country back on track to prosperity. Because he has that humility, that genuine personality as a leader that's necessary. So, again, I hope that, my fellow Canadians, you see this plain as it is. Somebody is trying to conceal the truth, and Maxime Bernier is trying to expose it. So, I thank you for your time and attention, and goodbye.